Got my ticket in my hand, gonna ride across the land. Feel the rhythm, feel the track. Party on, we won't look back. Engineer, he's on the groove. Train is smooth, it's got the moves. Windows down, we're flying fast. Blaring tunes, let's make it last. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Rails are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Cafe car is hopping loud. Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile just brings a thrill. Keep on riding, never still. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Rails are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Cafe car is hopping loud. Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile just brings a thrill. Keep on riding, never still. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Bells are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. High speed love is on demand. Cross the country hand in hand. Rails of passion, tunes that play. Amtrak speed is here to stay. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. High-speed love, it's on demand. Cross the country hand in hand. Rails of passion, tunes that play. Amtrak speed is here to stay. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Rolling down the line, the cargo's flying high, Carolina skies. Oh, the world looks bright and nigh, swinging through the hills, the towns, the lanes, till suddenly, just suddenly, we spill our train. Whistles blowing loud, midnight setting in. Norfolk's got the crown, ain't no way to spin. Boxcars off the track, oh, what a scene. Laugh it off again, folks, you know what I mean. Oops, we did it again, derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern gang. Midnight poker crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles, how long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck completed with a smile. The freights and jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Boss is on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derail is just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again, derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern gang. Midnight Poker Crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles, how long will it take? Around the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freights of jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Boss is on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derailing's just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the
Hope
rails.
this is working.
We never
properly
fail.
today.
Join the Norfolk Southern gang.
Apparently, I did not. Oh,
Many Kluber Crew sees the
I'm
headlines
breaking
break.
everything today.
Cups of Joe and chuckles. How
We're
long
off
will
to a
it
start.
take?
I can assure
Around
you.
the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while.
Okay,
Another
there
day,
we go.
another wreck, completed with a smile. The freights of jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Boss is on
also
the
not
line, saying what's the
Absolutely
hurt?
deafen people
With a
with the
wink
music.
and grin, we pull back tight.
Really need to set that on a hotkey.
Just our way of keeping things light.
Okay. Do. We'll go ahead and I think we'll go ahead and jump into this. We'll save that screen for later. So, good news is, it looks like we can use the new engine. We just have to pull it out of the shed so we can use it. Let's see here. Chugga, 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 chugga. Already off the bat. Already getting spicy on the speeds. Put a little bit of that independent on there. There we go. And while I'm thinking of it, let's go ahead and load at there and unload at the coal loader. Because I forgot to set that up last night. Okay, let's go ahead and shimmy this. You know what? We can trust Terry to bring it back. Bring her on back, Terry. And dunk. Actually, you know what? Because we need to line it up, we'll hang out on the back of this tender here.
Whistles loud they sing, steam and iron ring through valley hills they bring the power of this thing.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
Through the night into the sky, rails of history can't deny. The railroads fly. Winter, spring, and falls, past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
Send it. Bring her on out, Terry.
on the rails we belong. On the tracks we ride so high, through the night into the sky. Rails of history, can't deny. The railroads made us fly.
Just a little bit more. There's a little bit more, Terry.
Spring and falls, past the
Dunk.
mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
The train's still a bit brown. Just a little bit brown. But it'll do. It'll do for now. Oh, it's got that new Bluetooth brake stand. That's very interesting.
On the rails we belong, on the tracks we ride so high.
Let's see. Honestly, I'm tempted to rename the company.
Rails of history, can't deny. The railroads made us fly. Coal and iron it hauls, winter, spring and falls. Past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
Huh. Apparently you can't rename the company.
Can't deny, the railroads made us fly.
You full yet? Oh, we need to get a new whistle for you. I'm thinking... What about you?
Wheels are turning, tracks are burning.
Select.
Things you never thought you'd see.
Equipment, customize.
Central's wild ride, burning
And I don't care for that one.
free. Signals blinking, not a single warning. Rusty rails and broken ties. The Federal Railroad is reporting their life on the wild side. Oh, the trains keep rolling, no one's in control. And Central's
We'll go with that one, I think.
chaos, rock and roll. Brakes are failing, schedules falling through. It's a comedy, believe me, but it's true.
Okay, Terry. Bring her on up.
Boxes stacking high, tearing towers, engines humming out of key.
Dunk.
Every minute, every hour, and Central's loony symphony. Freight train split, cargo shifting, a circus on the rail.
And pause.
List growing longer, set sail on this wild tale. Oh, the trains keep rolling, no one's in control. And Central's chaos, rock and roll. Brakes are failing, schedules falling through. It's a comedy, believe me, but it's true.
Yes, fill it up. Fill it up.
Boxes stacking high, tearing towers, engines humming out of key. Every minute, every hour, Penn Central's loony symphony. Cargo shifting, a circus on the rail. A fast whistling list, growing longer, set sail on this wild tale.
There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do, break you off, and we are going to select you. Bye, Big Larry.
Steel wheels humming night and day.
We got Big Larry and Terry.
Always lead the way. Freight
Let's go
cars
ahead and
rolling
send
down
this
the
guy
line.
out here.
CSX, we're making time from coast to coast through city lights. Every cargo taking flight. Rails that rumble through the night. CSX, we're out of sight. All aboard the CSX train, through the sunshine, through the rain. Feel the rhythm, feel the beat. CSX can't be beat. Golden freights and silver steels, every station, every deal. On these tracks of iron pride, CSX CSX, the rail lines ride. Engine roar and whistle blow, everywhere that freight must go. From the mountains to the plains, CSX always remains.
And there we go. Let's go ahead and park.
The CSX train, through the sunshine, through the rain. Feel the rhythm, feel the beat. CSX.
I think we're gonna need to take some contracts, or we're not really making any money. So let's Whittier.
Golden
Tier
freights
1.
and silver steels.
Tier
Every
1.
station, every deal.
Tier
On these
1.
tracks of iron pride,
Connolly
CSX,
Creek.
the rays remain.
Let's see here.
There's a steel rail gleaming down the country line. Bob's on that engine, leaving troubles far behind. His house is a circus with a wife big as a barn, but on the railroad tracks he's a freebird in the morn. Jenny Mays, his wife, got charmer rules for days. Kids running round screaming, turn, it's bound to grade. But Bob's on his train singing songs of the free, with a whistle blowing loud away from misery. Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering kids or Jenny hanging on the phone. Engines humming sweet, it's a symphony divine. Running away from his troubles, leaving them behind. Got a ham sandwich and a thermos full of Joe, waving to the townsfolk, taking it nice and slow.
Townsfolk taking it nice and slow.
Beside his playground, sun and open skies, feeling like a king when it's just hypnotized. Evening's gonna come, he'll head back
I'm a bit loud, I think.
to the desperate calls from each room to room. But while the sun is high, the tracks has gotten light. Railroad Bob's in paradise on his runaway flight. Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering kids or Jenny hanging on the phone. Engines humming sweet, it's a symphony divine. Running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
Okay, let's go do some passenger work. Everybody loves passenger trains.
Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering kids or Jenny hanging on the phone. Engines humming sweet, it's a symphony divine. Running away from his troubles, leaving them behind. Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering kids or Jenny hanging on the phone. Engines humming sweet, it's a symphony divine. Running away from his
Symphony
troubles,
divine.
leaving them behind.
Away from trouble, leaving it behind. So let's see here. Where are we going to go to get passengers today? Yeah, I need to be turned up just a little bit when the train's operating. Oops, I just made Terry back up in his shed. He just ran into the wall. Chugga 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 chugga. This playlist is something else, let me tell you.
Rails come to town, taking Penn Central's crown. Tracks were sold down and out, now everyone will shout. Bring trains to the game, No more lines looking lame, and the central hit the ground. Nothing rail turns it round. Clickety clack, watch 'em go. Trains won't slow. Oh no. Rails here to show will never be low. Oh no. Rails had their fun, but they're all said and done. New track shine in the sun. Watch the engines run.
They're not going to know what to do with that train when Big Larry shows up. Go ahead and get that loaded up so I can get them taken to Ella. Big Larry's got that fancy new autopilot, so I can hop off.
Looking fine. Signals all aglow on this happy rail show. Passengers wait and cheer. Corrals year after year. No delays, no more frowns. Just the best in all the towns. Boom, dee, clack, watch 'em go. Trains won't slow. Oh no. Rails here to show will never be low. Oh no, oh no.
Gotta be gentle with the passenger cars, especially the wooden ones, or else they'll splinter.
Well, I parked my trailer right by the tracks. Thought I put down roots, ain't no looking back. But that old railroad had different plans, shaking my home, topping down cans. But the train took my troubles away, rattled my home and my worries that day. Ugly wife was screaming, but hey, that's fine. 'Cause that big old train crossed that thin old line. She nagged, then she prattled, never gave me peace, with a face that could scare a new breed of geese. While I sat on the porch drinking my beer, that whistle blew louder and I started to cheer. Oh, the train took my troubles away, sent her packing with that rumbling sway. Ugly wife was screaming, but hey, that's fine.
Screaming, but hey, that's fine.
Down the countryside, quiet, peaceful night. No more yelling, no more fights.
Yelling, no more
Just me and
fights.
my dog and the stars up high. Thank the Lord for that railroad line. Folks around town say it ain't right to feel this way, but their necks ain't tight. When that train hit her, I just had to cheer. Got my freedom back down
that thin
That
old
big old train
line.
cross that thin old line.
Cross that thin old line.
Now the countryside's quiet, peaceful
Countryside's quiet,
tonight.
peaceful tonight.
Steam and steel and whistle blow. Train is rolling, watch it go. On the tracks it runs so fast. Memories from a timeless past. Chug, chug, chugging through the night. Bright light shining, burning bright. Collect your bags and hold on tight. Through the darkness to the light. Riding the rails, oh what a ride. Through the valleys, rolling wide. Across the plains and mountain high. Underneath the starry sky.
We'll let the autopilot take over. I love cruise control. It's fantastic. We're cruising now.
Trains are breaking free, and Central's got woes aplenty. Not the way to be. Caboose is always trailing, engines out of steam. Schedules barely matter, like some crazy dream. And Central, oh, and Central, can't keep it all.
Open Central. Fit on the rails. In Central. In Central.
That tends to fluctuate.
That's seems to be our railroad. We have a timeline that fluctuates.
Cards are on the table. Can they find their groove? Or will they keep on running like they've nothing left to prove? Penn Central,
Penn Central? Oh, Penn Central. Is it on the rails? Central, Penn Central. City affairs. I cannot sing. No, all this. See, the autopilot's even smart enough to stop. I'm glad we installed the Tesla autopilot in this.
Got my ticket in my hand, gonna ride across the land. Feel the rhythm, feel the track. Party on, we won't look back. Engineer, he's on the groove. Train is smooth, it's got the moves. Windows down, we're flying fast. Blaring tunes, let's make it last. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Rails are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, we got 15 whole smackaroos for that. Making all the money.
Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile
The seats facing the wrong way definitely would make people motion sick.
riding, never still. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Rails are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Cafe car is hopping loud. Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile just brings a thrill. Keep on riding, never still. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Bells are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. High speed love, it's on demand. Cross the country hand in hand. Rails of passion, tunes that play. Amtrak speed is here to stay. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 high speed love, it's on demand. Cross the country hand in hand. Rails of passion, tunes that play. Amtrak speed is here to stay.
Oh, that's our cue to hop back on. Or hop through, I guess. Hello. We're breaking FRA rules today. Not only are we a one-man crew with a steam engine, we are also shoving a passenger train.
cargo's flying high. Carolina sky. Oh, world was bright and night.
I mean, who can be bothered to turn around? And I mean, technically, I'm standing here.
Till suddenly, just suddenly, we spill our train.
It's not an unprotected shove.
Whistles blowing loud.
We'll call it.
Midnight setting in.
We'll call it tactical.
The crowd ain't no way to spin.
It's a tactical shove. It's a peak efficiency.
Laugh it off again, folks, you know what I mean. Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern game. Midnight poker cruise sees the headlines break.
Oh, come on, Big Larry. Give us more speed.
How long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched.
Thank you.
Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freights of jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derailing's just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern game.
I had a time putting together the background music going on in the stream. It is just all railroad themed. I mean, yeah, it was done with an AI, but it took me forever to get half-decent stuff out of it.
How long will it take? Round the smoky room.
And no copyright.
A plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freights of jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derailing's just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again.
We've made a whole $90 since we started yesterday.
We never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern game. Billy Cooper crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe chuckles. How long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freights of jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derailing's just our way of keeping things light.
You're a little bit more busy than this. We're glorified Penn Central is what we are. We have a whole 3 passengers that we ever have at any given time. And we've lost all of our business in the yard. Say those logs are probably close to done. Because I know we have a wish list coming in at 1600. I'd gotten up to about that many cars at one point, and it was a mess. Turn the train down just a skosh. Thank you. I think I can trust the AI to sit there for a little bit. Oh, actually. Let's go ahead and fill up for Ella. I'm very particular when I do my switching. I'd say a lot of people probably do this, but I don't know. What I normally end up doing is I'll go and... hang on. What I'll normally do is I'll end up going and sorting everything by destination and putting everything that needs to be dropped off in on the back of the train as I pass it to come back up towards Whittier. Because I'll pretty much just Dutch drop everything as I go by and coast it in, if I can. I assume that's a mod to have that many tracks in Whittier and Ella. Or did they update it?
Still wheels rolling strong, tracks are stretched so long, city lights to dawn, Pennsylvania rolls on. Whistles loud they sing, steam and iron ring, through valley stills they bring the power of this thing.
Whittier isn't a horrible yard to get stuff in and out of, but Ella is probably one of my least favorites just because of that weird shenanigans that you have to do by that station to get into the warehouse.
Winter, spring, and falls, past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
12 mile an hour is probably a bit overzealous at some points coming through here, but who cares? We're here to make money, not follow safety rules and standards.
Times have come and gone,
Come on, let me on the train.
legacy lives on the rails
That's
we
why I'll never
belong.
play platformers. I can't even get on a moving train.
All the tracks we ride so high through the night.
Did I switch that switch back?
into the sky.
Yes.
Rails of history can't deny. The railroads made us fly. Coal and iron it hauls. Winter, spring, and falls. Past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
Yeah, that makes life a lot easier, being able to just go straight in that yard. Like, I hate when I'm doing it. I have way too many cars that need to go in that little hole, and you have to break it up 3 or 4 times to fit everything in those sidings. It gets a little bit annoying. It's more tedious than anything.
The railroads made us fly. Coal and iron it hauls. Winter, spring, and falls. Past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call. Rails of history can't deny. The railroads made us fly. Wheels are turning, tracks are burning.
Let's
Things you
get.
never thought you'd see. Penn Central's
We'll do this because that's very loud in my ears. Let's see.
Signals blinking,
Throw the switch.
single warning, rusty rails and broken ties.
You know, hitting this at 20 is probably a bit much.
Road is reporting living life on the wild side. Oh, the trains keep rolling, no one's in control. Penn Central's
Yeah, I'd say 20 was a bit much going through there.
brakes are failing, schedules falling through. It's a comedy, believe me, but it's true. Boxes stacking high, teetering towers, engines humming out of key. Every minute, every hour, Penn Central's Looney Symphony. Freight train split, cargo shifting, a circus on the rail. Flies whistling, list growing.
They were warned. The family of 4 will not be killed today.
On this wild tale. Oh, the trains keep rolling, no one's in
Now we're gonna give Terry control of everything.
brakes are failing, schedules falling through. It's a comedy, believe me, but it's true.
Oh, I forgot that I left that guy as an AI. Where are you going? Why are you going backwards? Train.
Boxes stacking high, teetering towers, engines humming out of
Where are you going? Why are you going backwards?
every minute, every hour. Penn Central's Looney
If you're gonna take passengers places, you should probably go the other way. It's just a suggestion.
shift in a circus on the rail. Fries whistling, list
We've had Big Larry for all of 5 minutes, and
on this wild
he's already trying to kill all the passengers.
the trains keep rolling, no one's in control. Penn Central's chaos, rock and
Oh, that's probably gonna suck, but hopefully it's gonna be as easy as just copy and paste.
roll. It's a comedy, believe me, but it's true.
once you get it figured out.
Steel wheels humming night and day. Miles of rails always lead the way. Freight cars roll on down the line. CSX, we're making time from coast to coast.
Yeah,
through
let's,
city lights. Every
there we go.
cargo taking flight.
Yeah,
Rails
it's
that
still
rumble
still
through
pretty
the
funny.
night. CSX, we're out of sight. All aboard
Good lord,
the
that's a lot of track.
CSX train, through the sunshine, through the rain. Feel the rhythm, feel the
I guess it's probably not going to be as bad to code the pieces as it will be to actually do it.
Every station, every deal on these tracks of
Okay, I've got
iron
to
pride.
fix this.
CSX, the rail lines ride. Engine roar and
Bring it
whistle
down
blow.
just a skosh.
Everywhere that freight
There.
must go. From the
I hop in the train and then
mountains
it's
to
just
the plains,
blasting my eardrums.
CSX always remain. All aboard the CSX train, through the sunshine, through the rain. Feel the rhythm, feel the beat. CSX can't be beat. Golden freights and silver steels, every station, every deal. On these tracks of iron pride, CSX the rays remain.
Hello. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, I would say it would be a, I wouldn't want to do it. But to be fair, I have what I think is the computer skills of a 98-year-old.
His house is a circus with a wife big as a barn, but on the railroad tracks he's a free bird in the morn. Jenny Mays, his wife, got charmer rules for days. Kids running round screaming, turn is bound to grade. But Bob's on his train singing songs of the free, with a whistle blowing loud away from misery. Hallelujah on the tracks he's
Just taking our time. I'm glad I had Mr. Elon Musk come and install his Tesla autopilot in my train. Makes life a lot easier.
running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
Why drive when the train could drive for me?
Got a ham sandwich and a thermos full of Joe, waving to the townsfolk.
Hopefully we're not giving the class ones any ideas.
The countryside's his playground, sun and open skies, feeling like a king when it's just in no ties. Evening's gonna come, he'll head back to the gloom, to the desperate calls from each room to room. But while the sun is high, the tracks has gotten light.
That's a bridge we'll cross when we get to it. Also, for 40 years, that's a good bit of experience for modding. I try to install a simple mod on like Minecraft or in this game, and then I end up breaking the whole thing.
Running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
Just get to cruise up a hill. Best part is if we run out of coal, we could just coast back down. Yeah, this game I've found it's not too bad. I used one of the mod managers. I am a little bit disappointed in the fact that every time, I mean, it's bound to happen, but help if I'd select the right engine. I have my mic just in my way, and I can't see the engine number. But no, the one thing I miss is I used to have this really nice whistle mod, and then they updated it, and it got rid of all the whistles that I liked having. Even with the new updated version of it. I'll have to reinstall some of those mods, because I do like the extra whistles, the slightly different freight cars and passenger cars and all that.
While the sun is high, the tracks has gotten like railroad tops in paradise on this runaway flight. Hallelujah on the track. and sweet, it's a symphony divine, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
There you go, Terry.
He's riding all alone, no
I'm just gonna leave you up here, because then you're out of the way.
on the phone, engines hung and sweet, it's a symphony
How much coal you got? You got enough?
running away from his troubles, leaving
Yeah, you've
them
got enough.
behind.
That'll get you back home.
Well, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
You know, I'm waiting for somebody to I can't speak today. You'd think, given that that's all I do at work, I'd be able to do that. But anyways, I'm waiting for somebody to do like one of the duplexes of the Pennsylvania, because those are going to be kind of goofy looking watching them go around some of these corners. Inevitably, it's going to happen, because and people probably make them flex, even though they're not supposed to. Or they'll have a special mod that you install and it reworks the track to make it happen. I'm walking. I have technology. There we go. What are you doing? Why are you sitting here? Oh, because I put you in yard mode like an idiot. Imagine your train stops just short of the platform and the conductor's like, sorry, you can't get off. This isn't your stop yet. And you have to wait for probably what would have been an hour, 2 hours, 3 if I had walked there. I know there's I enjoy when I get up to those, but I think honestly one of my favorite is the Pacifics. I really enjoy the Pacifics in the game. I just like the look of them. Wonder why they took it down. I wonder if it was a copyright issue or something. I could do the smart thing and put some money in to give me more places to go, or I could do the incredibly dumb thing and buy more passenger cars.
New tracks shine in the sun. Watch the engines run. Freight cars in a line, running smooth, looking fine. Signals all aglow on this happy rail show.
I know the Shays. I like them. I mean, slower than Moses, but that's by design. They're not really meant for that. But they're not meant for speed, I should say. But they're still interesting to watch. Yeah, let's, everybody on. Do we have everybody? Go ahead and, nope, we'll go ahead and give you back to them. Throw you in reverse. Put her in reverse. Big Larry, I guess. And then we'll send it. Shaking my home, topping down canes. But the train took my troubles away. I've not really gotten to the point in a career mode of this to have the Berkshires, or Berkshires, or however you say it, yet, but I have gotten to the point to have the Pacifics, and as I said, I absolutely love those. Honestly, I'm hoping somebody adds a K4 before too much longer. I love the K4. Truth be told, probably my favorite mod, if there is one that would ever exist for this, would be, I'd love to have the streamlined K4, with the Fleet of Modernism cars in the original streamlining, not the second iteration of it they did. A lot of people call those stupidly ugly, but in my opinion, it goes beyond ugly and comes back around to just being really nice, especially when you tie it with its passenger cars.
Folks around town say it ain't right to feel this way, but their necks ain't tight. When that train hit her, I just had to cheer. Got my freedom back down in another
The Hiawatha would be a nice one, too.
Oh, the train took my troubles away, rattled my home and my worries that day. Ugly wife screaming.
That'd be an awfully large locomotive to have, but it would be a sight to behold. You could probably pull everything this game could throw at you. And then some.
Now the countryside is quiet, peaceful tonight. No more yelling, no more fights. Just me and my dog and the stars up high. Thank the Lord for that railroad line.
I mean, of course, there's eventually, I wholeheartedly expect eventually somebody to do a Dreyfuss Hudson and all of its 20th century cars. I'm just waiting for that one. That one's inevitable.
That big old train crossed that thin old line.
Just like the Big Boy is inevitable.
That big old train crossed that thin old line.
They're very well known, and thus they will be very well done.
Countryside is
Well, maybe not well done, but there'll be
peaceful
plenty of them.
tonight.
Steam and steel and whistle blow. Train is rolling, watch it go. On the tracks it runs so fast. Memories from a timeless past.
Let's see.
Chugging through the night. Bright light shining, burning bright. Collect your bags and hold on tight. Through the darkness to the light.
Yeah, in the area I'm in, there's actually a bridge that's still labeled for the Virginian Railroad, and it crosses a main road. It's CSX now, but it's pretty interesting. You know, yeah, double tracks on the entire map would be nice. I mean, it'd be a bit unnecessary, but honestly, I would prefer to have, you know, trains passing each other at a decent rate of speed without having to stop and wait. It'd make life just a whole lot simpler. Have almost like a one-way system. Which I guess that's kind of the point of it, I guess, but, you know, you could pass, you could do whatever with occasional crossovers, so not really have to stop anything. Yes, all 11 people on board, welcome to Whittier, where their main attraction is a factory, a water tower, the train station, and a bridge to nowhere. Thank you, AI. Ding. Honestly, I love this derpy little bridge. You gave Whittier a little bit of a reason to come here. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and load up for Whittier. Or not Whittier, Ella. Duh. Imagine charging people to get on the train to get back off of it. Oh, welcome aboard and get off. You're at your stop. Thank you for the $1. Our railroad is ever so appreciative of it. Oh, the dogs are barking. Yay, the dogs are barking.
Tracks are twisting, turning, trains are breaking.
They'll bark at everything. I apologize.
Clothes are plenty, not the way to be. Caboose is always trailing, engines out of steam. Schedules barely matter, like some crazy dream. And Central,
We'll go ahead and fix the bridge in Ella.
can't keep it on the rail.
Just a little bit of something. Something more exciting to do.
Central, a comedy affair. Passengers are waiting, float is running late.
We'll just let those people load up.
That tends to fluctuate.
Yeah, that'll give us some interesting places. Honestly, I always just save up and go down to Silva first and then just work my way back up, but I think I'm gonna go the opposite direction this time.
Cards are on the table. Can they find their brew? Or will they keep on running like
check out
they've
this guy.
nothing left to prove? Penn Central, oh, Penn Central, can't keep it on the rail. Penn Central, oh, Penn Central, a comedy affair.
Honestly, that'd be pretty neat. That would be a nice feature in the game, is if they would have like guaranteed connections as just part of the thing in the base game. So you could have a passenger station just like off somewhere near one of those yards, and just they just occasionally drop people off, and you have to be there to pick them up.
Got my ticket in my hand.
I'm assuming a lot of the modding stuff is probably limited at this time, unless you spend a lot of time working on it, given that the game seems to have everything pretty much baked in how it wants it.
Engineer, he's on the groove. Train is smooth, it's got the moves. Windows down, we're flying fast. Blaring tunes, let's make it last. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Rails are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name.
Duh, that's what it is. We'll wait 2 hours, and then we should have stuff at the interchange.
Cafe car is hopping loud.
You go have fun with that.
Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile just brings a
Maybe now we can go and
keep on riding, never still. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Rails are rocking, hearts aflame. Every
wrong way.
station screams our name.
Give me just a second. I will be right back in just a moment.
Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile just brings a thrill. Keep on riding, never still. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Bells are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. High speed love is on demand. Across the country, hand in hand. country hand in hand. Rails of passion, tunes that play. Amtrak speed is here to stay.
Oh, wrong button. There we go. Sorry about that. I had a phone call. Everybody loves getting phone calls.
Down the line, the cargo's flying high, Carolina skies.
Let's see here.
World looks bright and nice.
You've only got
Swinging
whatever
through the
0.7 of a log means.
the lanes,
Okay.
till suddenly, just suddenly, we
You
spill
don't need to have your headlight on, so let's just turn that off. Thank you.
Midnight setting in. Law folks got the crown, ain't no way to spin. Boxcars off the track, oh, what a scene. Laugh it off again, folks, you know what I mean. Oops, we did it
But
again.
since
Derailing straight
I
to
need a
fame.
locomotive, I'll go
Wheels
ahead
off
and
the
steal
rails,
this guy.
we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern
Kind of
gang.
rode him up here for no reason.
Midnight poker cruise sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles, how long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck completed with a smile. The freights and jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derail is just our way of keeping things light.
I do think that'd be a neat idea, though, having like AI, like pure AI trains come through. That would be pretty neat.
Join the Norfolk Southern gang.
So when it comes to the spans of the station, is there a benefit to having a larger span other than just a larger area to drop stuff off in, or does it actually give you the ability to unload people faster?
Around the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck completed with a smile. The freights and jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derail is just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again. Derail it straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern gang. Many Kluber crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles. How long will it take?
Huh.
Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck completed with a smile.
The entire railroad is my train station. I'll stop in the middle of the forest if I please.
On the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derailing's just our way of keeping things light.
Trains roll down the line, hauling freight all the time. Norfolk Southern does it best. Heavy loads, no time to rest. Here they come around the bend. Cargo never seems to end. Track stretch far and wide, but watch out for that slide. Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk Southern
Okay.
nukes again. All aboard this crazy train.
Well, I'm glad that the train arrived because I kind of did the same thing I did again earlier and I clicked the wrong button.
Freight just tumbled down the hill. Norfolk thrills, we get our fill.
Really need to find a better place to put that mic. Really need to get my stand back.
Rails ain't no delight. Hazmat spill
Well, my boom, I should say, for it.
they astound. Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk Southern nukes again. All
Well, you can change the weather in the base game? I did not know that. That's another thing that I'm kind of looking forward to with Century of Steam, is just all the fun stuff like that they're going to have just in the base game.
Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk Southern nukes again. All aboard this crazy train.
This game's, what, about a year old now? Or approaching a year old?
All aboard this crazy train. Cold yards, all a mess. Clean up crews, you must impress. Freight just tumbled down the hill. Norfolk thrills, we get our fill. Steel on steel, what a sight. Twisted rails ain't no delight. Hazmat spilled all around. Norfolk's got tricks, they astound. Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk Southern nukes again. All aboard this crazy train.
Oh, we got 4 people in here. That's a surprising amount.
All aboard this crazy train.
It's getting busy. Now here's a question. How does one open up the console? I've never actually used that in this game.
Still wheels rolling strong, tracks are stretched so long. City lights to dawn, Pennsylvania rolls on. Whistles loud they sing, steam and iron ring. Through valleys, hills they bring the power of this thing.
Give me just a moment.
On the tracks we ride so high, through the night into the sky. Rails of history can't
Oh.
deny.
Oh, okay.
Made us fly. Coal and iron it hauls, winter, spring and falls. Past the mountains tall,
Huh.
steam engines hear the call.
That's neat. We'll have to keep that in mind. I wonder why it's not got an automatic preset to just kind of cycle through randomly. Unless that's something that they've just not implemented yet.
Rails we belong. All the tracks we ride so high, through the night into the sky. Rails of history can't deny. The railroads made us fly. Coal and iron it hauls, winter, spring and falls. Past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
So does the snow command, does it like do anything other than just put snow effects? Or does it actually, I doubt it actually builds up or anything, does it?
Legacy lives on the rails we belong. On the tracks we ride so high, through the night into the sky. Rails of history can't deny. The railroads made us fly. Coal and iron it hauls, winter, spring and
I didn't figure it. What I figured it was probably going to be just one of those, just it adds just the snow effect everywhere.
rails of history can't deny. The railroads made us fly.
But that's nice to know about the weather commands. I've not actually ever played with that.
Wheels are turning, tracks are burning, things you never thought you'd see. Penn Central's wild ride, ain't no learning, violations running wild and free. Signals blinking,
You know what?
not a single
We're going to do a little bit
warning.
of this.
Rusty rails and broken ties. The Federal Railroad is reporting that the line
And hope that nothing spawned there.
Oh, the trains keep rolling, no one's in control.
Let me try that.
Central's chaos, rock and roll. Brakes are failing, schedules falling through. It's a comedy, believe me, but it's true. Boxes stacking high, tearing towers, engines humming out of key.
Oh, I probably have to slash. Oh,
Every minute, every hour, Penn Central's loony symphony. Freight train split, cargo shifting, a circus on the rail. Flies whistling,
I'll figure it out in a minute.
growing longer.
Oh, so it's quite literally like Minecraft then. Oh. That's more pleasant than constant overcast. Come on, Terry, hurry it up. Come on, Terry. We'll have to play around with this, because I did not know that there were commands like that in the game. Then again, I never actively went seeking to see if there was anything like that. Come on, back it up. Hurry it up. We're coming in a little warm. A little bit warm.
Steel wheels humming night and day. Miles of rails always lead the way. Freight cars roll on down the line. CSX, we're making time.
I did not know that either.
Through city lights, every cargo taking flight. Rails that rumble through
Dunk.
the night. CSX, we're out of sight. All aboard the CSX train through the
What's all
sunshine.
going? Everything's going to the bridge site.
Feel the rhythm, feel the beat. CSX can't be beat.
Okay. If that's what the game is saying it needs to go to, I could have swore I picked up more cargo than that. But
Every
okay.
deal on these tracks of iron pride. CSX, the rail lines ride.
We're gonna ride the boxcar.
Engine roar and whistle blow. Everywhere
Release.
that freight must go. From the mountains
Release.
to the plains. CSX always remains. Aboard the CSX train.
Honestly, I like when developers give that kind of ability in a game.
Feel the rhythm, feel the beat.
Or if something happens and something bugs out and you can't use it, you can just get it back. Come on, Terry. You can do it.
Golden freights and silver steels. Every station, every deal.
Let's see what
On
roads
these
we got.
tracks of iron pride. CSX, the rays remain.
Now I see a Pennsylvania Railroad, and I see a New York Central, a C&O. A lot of other roads that I'm honestly not familiar with.
There's a steel rail gleaming down
The
the
B&O.
line. Bob's on that engine, leaving troubles far behind. His house is a circus with a wife big as a barn, but on the railroad tracks he's a free bird in the morn. Virginia Mays, his wife, got charming rules for days. Kids running round screaming.
Honestly, this game kind of reminds me more of, like if you go to a model railroad club and you're doing the operations.
Hallelujah on the tracks, he's riding all alone. No hollering kids or Jenny banging on the phone. The engine's humming sweet, it's a symphony divine. Running away from his troubles,
I accept my
leaving
fate.
them behind.
Dong.
Got a ham sandwich and a
Oh, it actually, I did not know it would actually do that.
taking it out.
I thought it was non-corporeal.
The countryside's his playground, sun and open skies. Feeling like a king when it's just in low ties. Evening's gonna come, he'll head back to the gloom, to the desperate calls from each room to room. But while the sun is high, the tracks has gotten light. Railroad Bob's in paradise on this runaway flight. Hallelujah on the tracks, he's riding all alone. No hollering kids or Jenny hanging on the phone. The engine's humming sweet, it's a symphony divine. Running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
I don't think Terry's quite happy about this turn of events. I'm gonna have to shimmy that other train though out of the way. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Why are you here? You do not. Okay, AI. Gotta get this out of the way. Big Larry overran the station just a little, just a scotch. Come on. I like how I'm telling the train to hurry up, even though I'm not doing anything to adjust the valve gear to make it go any faster. The nice thing about this game is that it's multiplayer. I mean, Roblox is too, but it's nice to have a dedicated game just for this kind of stuff.
Conrails come to town, taking Penn Central's crown. Tracks were sold down and
Let me on the train. There we go.
now everyone will shout.
Yeah, I have yet to still play this game in any form of multiplayer, but I enjoy it.
Now Conrail turns it round. Clickety clack, watch 'em go. Trains won't slow. Oh no, Conrail's here to show we'll never be low. Oh no, old rails had their fun.
Oh.
But they're all
Well, you can probably get a guess of what my playstyle is. It's a little bit of casual, but it's mostly, I'll do stupid, inconvenient stuff like park on a crossing. I have all that space, but I'm going to park there. I really hope when they get, like, more of the map itself fleshed out that they actually have, like, traffic and fun stuff like that, so that when you are inconveniencing people, you're inconveniencing people.
signals all aglow on this happy rail show.
Oops.
Passengers
Oh.
wave and cheer. Conrail's year after year.
Terry, I appreciate the hustle, but you went the wrong way.
Best in all the
You should have known better.
clickety clack, watch 'em go. Trains won't slow. Oh no, Conrail's here to show we'll never be low. Oh no, old rails had their fun.
You know, one game I think would be an interesting game to have in multiplayer is, shoot, what's it called? Having a moment. It's that one VR game where you're just building model railroads. I have it in the back of my mind and I can't remember what it's called.
But they're all said and done. New track shine in the sun. Watch the engines run.
Rolling Line, that's what it's called. That game in multiplayer would be pretty neat.
Conrails had their fun.
I think I'm bound determined with the way things are going to derail this entire train.
Watch the engines run.
So I should probably use the train brakes for this.
Freight cars in a line, running smooth, looking fine. Signals all aglow on this happy rail show.
Come on.
Passengers wave and cheer. Conrail's year after year. No delays, no more frowns. Just the best in all the towns. Boom-de-clack, watch 'em go. Trains won't slow.
I'm waiting for the inevitable, like, the engine runs out of coal or it runs out of water or it does something stupid I wasn't paying attention to.
Oh no.
Oh, you should be fine. You should be just fine.
Well, I parked my trailer right by the tracks.
Come on,
Put down
back it up.
roots, ain't no
Go,
looking back.
shoot,
That
scram.
old railroad had different plans, shaking my
There we go.
home, topping down cans. But the train took my troubles away, rattled my home and my worries that day. Ugly wife
I need you
was
to stop.
screaming, but hey, that's fine. 'Cause that big old train crossed that thin old line.
There we go.
She nagged and she prattled, never gave me peace, with a face that could scare a new breed of geese. While I sat on the porch drinking my beer, that whistle blew louder and I started to cheer.
I hear a lot of scraping.
Oh, the train took my troubles away.
45%.
Her packing with the rumbling sway. Ugly wife
25%.
but hey, that's fine. 'Cause that big old train crossed that thin
Go
old
do a roll-by
line.
inspection is what I'm gonna do here.
Countryside's quiet, peaceful tonight. No more yelling, no more
Honestly, I don't care if there's a hot box. I'll just drag it and turn it in.
me and my dog
It's not my rolling stock.
Thank the Lord for that railroad.
I mean, yeah, I probably won't get as much money back, but it is what it is.
Folks around town say it ain't right to feel this way, but their necks ain't tight. When that train hit her, I just had to cheer. Got my freedom back down in another beer. Oh, the train took my troubles away, rattled my home and my worries that day. Ugly wife
Of course I get to the side with no
screaming, but
ladder.
that's fine. 'Cause that big old train crossed that thin old line. Now the countryside's quiet, peaceful tonight. No more yelling, no more fights. Just me and my dog and the stars up high. Thank the Lord for that railroad line. Folks, the rain took my troubles away.
I like having the little two-siding passing track here that you can use to go through the yard here in Whittier. It's nice when you have a train sitting at the station, you can just fly past it.
That big old train crossed that thin old line. Now the countryside's quiet, peaceful tonight.
I can see those pairing up together and being a pretty good, like, longer lasting set of locomotives. Sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling in a playthrough, I'll just take the locomotives I'm not using anymore. Like, if they're just completely outmoded and they really don't have a functional use, I'll take them and I'll just shove them in a dead line and just leave them there. Yeah, it takes up space, but, you know, I do that with all the old equipment that I don't want to use because I just think it's fun. I'll just take it to, like, the roundhouse and just shove it in that dead line behind it.
Ticket punch, conductor's call. Rhythmic hum, an engine stall. Traveling far from where we stall. Hear the train's majestic roll. Swinging with that lively beat. Passengers in every seat. Feel the journey, feel the heat. Life on wheels is oh so sweet. Coal and smoke, just let it fly. Hours passing swiftly by. From town to town we say goodbye. Riding rails keep spirits high.
It's funny, I went from sitting at a computer all day to sitting at a computer again this evening. About how my day goes anymore. I'll have to look into that. I do like the Mikados in this game. They're pretty fun. I mean, then again, I just like most Steam engines in this game. There's a few I don't care for, mainly the starter ones. I like anything with the wall shirts, Valve gear. I just love all the motion on the outside. I don't care much for Stevenson. If I'm correct, I'm pretty sure I saw a mod for, what was it, F-Units? I figured it would. I'm honestly surprised that isn't in the base game. I mean, the F-Units are they're just pretty. And they fit this, like, the era of this game to a T. I know, there's really not a lot of places to run up to speed on a lot of, like, the passenger locomotives in this game. I really wish there was, like, more of an area where you could go on a straight stretch and you could just hit it. I mean, there's a couple places you can, but then it's followed by a really sharp corner at the end.
Passengers are waiting, Frody is running late. Penn Central's got a timeline that tends to fluctuate.
Let's see. A lot of this game, it's almost like Train Sim World, where once you get going, I like to call it Scenery Simulator, because you just kind of sit until you build up to the point where you have a lot of stuff going on, and you're constantly jumping around. So it's more of a point-and-click adventure if you're not actually running the locomotives. Goodbye, Big Larry.
Got my ticket in my hand, gonna ride across the land. Feel the rhythm, feel the track. Party on, we won't look back. Engineer, he's
One of these days I'm waiting for the AI to mess up and just slam into the end of the buffers, or the end of the end of track device, I should say. I've been infected with the British terminology.
let's make it last. Party on Amtrak all night long. Dance and sing our happy song.
See, that's what I would like to... I mean, I don't think this game's ever going to turn into letting you run a Class 1, per se, but it would be nice to have just really nice, long, straight stretches of track.
Cafe car is hopping loud. Join the fun
stop now.
Cafe car is hopping loud. Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile just brings a thrill. Keep on riding, never still. Party on Amtrak.
Chug, chug, chug. It's always so much fun. I'm just curious how the terrain's gonna be. If it's just gonna be like a long, winding, snaking kind of place, or if it's gonna actually be a nicer, flatter run, and the big thing with it is just how fast can you get there, per se. Get a little bit more speed out of this thing here. Goodbye.
Rolling down the line, the cargo's flying high, Carolina sky. Oh, the world looks bright and night, swinging through the hills, the towns, the lanes, till suddenly, just suddenly, we spill our train. Whistles blowing loud, midnight setting in. Norfolk's got the crown, ain't no way to spin. Boxcars off the track. Oh, what a
See, I can get behind that, especially if people add stuff like the Hiawatha's. I mean, I can only imagine, like, the,
railing straight to fame.
but you could probably do a route from Silva straight all the way up through, and that's going to be a stupidly profitable route.
The headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles. How long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck completed with a smile. The freights and jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derail is just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern gang.
Let's refresh that real quick. Oh, yeah, must be 3 people in here,
Sees the headlines break.
allegedly.
Cups of Joe and chuckles. How long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck completed with a smile. The freights and jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derail is just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern gang. Billy Kluber crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles. How long will it take?
No, I think this game, though, I think it has some really good potential for things that can happen with it.
Another wreck completed with
I mean, and if I'm correct, it's a pretty small team of people working on it. So, I mean, if they're doing good updates, I honestly don't care. I just don't want to see it turn into something like Railroads Online, where it more turns into a unrealistic sandbox, in my opinion.
derailing's just our way of
go.
Watch out for that slide. Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk Southern nukes again. All aboard this crazy train.
Oh, down to 1. People just pop in and pop out.
Coal and cars all a mess. Clean up crews you must impress. Freight just tumbled down the hill. Norfolk thrills, we get our fill. Steel on steel, what a sight. Twisted rails ain't no delight. Hazmat spilled all around. Norfolk's got tricks they astound. Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk Southern nukes again. All aboard this crazy train.
Come on. Do, 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 do. I need to fill this guy up real quick.
Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk Southern nukes again. All aboard this crazy train. Aboard this crazy train.
I will take over you.
Aboard this crazy train. Coal and cars all a mess. Clean up crews you must impress. Freight just tumbled down the hill. Norfolk thrills, we get our fill. Steel on steel.
Wait, there are Penn Central cars in this game?
Hazmat spilled all around. Norfolk's got tricks they astound. Derailment here, derailment there. Oh, look, another flying in the air. Norfolk
I'm gonna have to collect every one of them.
all aboard this crazy train.
Oh. I was gonna say, I will collect every one of them I see, because I was gonna figure that if they did exist, they would be rare. I love picking on that railroad so much. They won the race to the bottom, as they would say. I know in the background, just the generic background music I had made, it was, there's a couple songs picking on Penn Central and Norfolk Southern.
Whistles loud they sing, steam and iron ring through valleys, hills they bring the power of this thing. On the tracks we ride so high, through the night into the sky, rails of history.
I'd like to say at least Penn Central was honest, but if I remember correctly, wasn't their slogan, "You can count on us"?
Winter, spring, and falls, past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
You know, that's actually, I have, what's his name? I can't pronounce his last name, but it's like Rodney, and it starts with a K. He's one of the, like, I think he's one of the, like, tiered sub things that I have in there.
All the tracks we ride so high,
I have him put in there just because I figured it'd be funny.
to the sky,
And the little alert that pops up on screen basically says, "Why would you invest in us?" We're basically Penn Central at this point.
halls, winter, spring, and falls, past the mountains tall, steam
But you know,
engines hear the
interesting little story. When I was up in Altoona doing the running the model railroad, doing model railroad stuff and doing college and whatnot, there was a surprising amount of people that ran Penn Central stuff, and I was like one of 2 people that would regularly run Pennsylvania Railroad stuff. And then you had a lot of people, I mean, college, there was a surprising amount of college students there. They ran from their home areas, like, I've seen some B&O, some C&O, I've seen Lehigh Valley, I've seen Rock Island, I've seen all those.
halls, winter, spring, and falls, past the mountains tall, steam engines hear the call.
No, give.
Of history can't
Give.
deny, the railroads made us fly.
Select. But anyways, there was a lot of people who actually ran Penn Central stuff, and it never failed that no matter how nice their stuff was, it was always what caused derailments. I'm pretty sure the name is just a curse at this point.
Penn Central
It never failed. You could have somebody running New York Central, running Norfolk Southern. You could have people doing all that stuff. Any road you wanted. But Penn Central was guaranteed to derail at least once or twice every run session. I'd say it hit different, but if I'm being honest with you, that'd probably mean something completely different for Penn Central. They'd probably quite literally hit something different every day. Or they'd lose the paperwork, one or the other. I like that they added that you have to supply your mechanical shops with stuff. I think that's honestly... It's nice when they think about things like that, rather than it just be infinite parts. Okay, you can put the brakes on, Larry. Select you. You know what? For eyeballing it, I'm very happy with how that lined up.
Steel wheels humming night and day. Miles of rails always lead the way.
I've thought about, let's see here.
We're making time from coast to coast through city lights. Every cargo taking flight. Rails that rumble through the night. CSX, we're out of sight. All aboard the CSX train. Through the sunshine, through the rain.
You know, funnily enough, I can't say that I haven't had a similar experience. I was one of the few people, everybody insisted on running diesels. And it's not like they... Kind of the way that the rules were at the club I was at is they don't care what you run, just so long as you're not bringing stupid stuff like Thomas the Train or, you know, or stupidly unrealistic things, and you're making an effort to model something and model it correctly. They don't care. So if you passed a modern Amtrak train with a streamlined Pennsylvanian K4, they didn't really care, just so long as you made an effort to make your models nice, take care of it, and be, you know, courteous. I had a friend who, they got stuck on one of the grades, and they did not believe me, but I actually bought one of those little Pico, or Pico, I'm not sure how you say their name, one of those little 65-ton Whitcombs with the DCC and sound. That thing, for what I paid for it, that thing is a tank, and it drug a train. It was a scale train, I think it was I don't remember what it was. It was one of like a newer diesel. All newer diesels look just about the same to me. But it was a newer diesel, and it had stalled or something had happened with its DCC. And I ended up just coupling up to the front of it with that little tiny switcher, and I drug it and it's like 30-some car train up a hill. Just up and around to where they could get to it. And that little diesel did not even break a sweat doing it. I mean, that thing's only like 4.5 inches long, and it weighs probably a pound easily, and it's got 2 traction tires on it, and I think it's got like a it's got like a stupidly high pulled motor in it, so you can set one speed step and you can legitimately watch it crawl at one speed step, and it will drag anything you want behind it. Or you can go like 45 scale miles an hour, so it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it'll do whatever you tell it to do. And it has so much torque on the wheels that it doesn't like bog the motor. It'll actually, the way they put the traction tires on there is they're offset, so if you have too much weight on it, it'll actually lift the trucks up and derail the train. And for that company's first entrance really into the US market, I think they did a good job. Yeah, they never really limited it to excursions or any weird, like, make it make sense kind of situation, but I know there were events and stuff that they would do, so they would prefer if everybody would do the same thing. So, like, one of the events I participated in was they had the, things like the National Pennsylvania Railroad Historical Society or something like that. It was one of those big technical groups that come in, and I made a special trip back up there just to run my Pennsylvania stuff, because even the people who are full-time members there, I mean, I am a full-time member there, but who can be there every week, they, surprisingly, they don't have a lot of it. Like, a lot of people run, like, Bessemer Steel, or they'll run, they'll do, like, the, what is it, Pittsburgh and West Virginia, or Pittsburgh and Lake Erie, or something like that. They'll do all kinds of weird lines, like the Wheeling and Lake Erie and stuff like that. And that's what they run, and I'm just like, that's interesting that that's the case, given that literally everything on the walls there is actual Pennsylvania Railroad memorabilia. Like, they have a bunch of the Keystones. What was the wildest thing that was brought in? I can only imagine some of the things that some people probably would have cooked up. That's funny. So they just had something that probably looked like a nuclear bomb from like the 40s running around on a switcher chassis. That's one thing I've always enjoyed about the hobby, is no matter what railroad, no matter what layout you go to, you're always going to find stupid little jokes. So, like, a lot of popular ones is, let's see. Someone strapped a firework to a flat car and launched it down the street. It's a bit more wild than I expected it to be. I'm going to assume it ended poorly. Very poorly, I would assume. You know, honestly, that makes it make a little bit more sense, but still. I would die seeing that. I've seen some stupid stuff, but like one of my favorite things that I love doing, especially at like model train shows and those big modular layouts that people bring, is I like looking at the what's it called? I just love looking around the layouts and finding stupid things. Like, you'll find like a guy in an outhouse being like attacked by a bear, or you'll find stupid little things. Like, we had a chemical plant on the layout up in Altoona, and on that chemical plant outside one of the little doors, like garage doors, hanging off of a chain on like one of those little like ceiling cranes, they had a little bomb hanging off of it. like, just finding stupid little stuff like that was always pretty fun. That cannery name is funny. So we're going to upset the FRA just a little bit. Shenanigans are about to ensue. Provided I switch the track the right way.
Passengers wait and cheer. Corral's here after you. No delays, no more frowns. Just the best in all the towns. Boom, dee, clack, watch 'em go. Trains won't slow. Oh no. Corral's here to show we'll never be low. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
There we go. I think that's clear enough of the foul. So we'll just stop that there.
Right by the tracks, thought I put down roots, ain't no looking back. But that old railroad had different plans, shaking my home, topping down cans. But the train took my troubles away, rattled my home and my worries that day. Ugly wife was screaming, but hey, that's fine. 'Cause that big old train crossed that thin old line.
Honestly, I think when it comes to doing like model railroads, personally, I like the Appalachians, just because, like the Rockies, you can do big grandiose kind of stuff, like big bridges, big gorges, overpasses, underpasses, whatever, with anything you want. But in the Appalachians, it's a lot of everything is a hill, and everything kind of has to snake around unless you're in the valleys or unless you just so happen to be in the foothills, for the most part. But when it comes to the Appalachians, there's just there's no room for that kind of stuff. So it's either make room or just don't.
Just me and my dog and the stars up high. Thank the Lord for that railroad line.
I mean, it's like I've been down into Thurmond, and just the way that the railroad cut its way through the New River is just impressive. Because I don't know where, I've not really ever paid that close attention onto the maps, but looking at it, I want to figure out how they worked their way out of the gorge, or if it just so happened that the mountains spread out in a way that they just was able to go straight out of it.
Just me and my dog and the stars up high. Thank the Lord for that railroad line.
Let's see. We've got those parts. We've got the parts in there. That can sit there. And then we can... There we go. Oh look, my cargo's here. Honestly, if they were going to be kind of picky and wanting everything to be like more prototypical, so if people were running diesels, everybody had to run diesels or do excursions, honestly, I think that's pretty nice that they kind of gave you a heritage branch line to be able to do whatever you want. Yeah, the terrain out towards Wisconsin is pretty interesting. I think, honestly, working around the lake, well, hang on, I have my geography wrong in my head. My brain's, I've been up since 4:30 this morning, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah. That's right, I thought they were on, I don't know why I was questioning myself if they're on a lake or not. They're on both lakes. But yeah, they've going in and out of that territory, and a lot of, if I'm correct with the railroads in Milwaukee, a lot of it was probably handling the Great Lakes traffic, as well as dealing with the Granger lines down south and west of them. That's cool that they had that on its own separate network. I know with the model railroad I was at, they used to have a CTC system, and it was all automatic, but they had been doing updates and rewiring, so it never worked when I was there, and they're working on fixing that now, but they'll do it after they add the new extension they were doing, because it was going to rework all that anyways. But they had all kinds of neat little things like that. But with the one I started at, we had these big manual switchboards that had a bunch of like almost like electrical toggle switches just there, and the layout I was running on was built in the 60s, 50s, something like that is where the majority of it was built. And underneath, where for our switch motors, we were actually using surplus World War II aircraft relays to throw our switches electrically on the layout. So we had a lot of updating we were doing, but all the track was handmade, all the ties were handmade, and surprisingly, it is all well within the specs for the National Model Railroading thing. They have all that within spec. They even did like handmade switches. And I mean, they're updating it all now, because I don't think I've ever seen a model railway get to a point to where the track has been used so much over the years that it's actually worn down and is causing issues. But they actually had like natural wear on the track so bad in places that you had to watch, because it had actually warped and it's pitted, and it had a couple spots that you had to watch out for. But it was fascinating.
Tracks are twisting, turning, trains are breaking free.
Yeah, our place, I would say it was big, but I don't think it was that big. We had a 2-story building, but it was at one point a house. So our place had an in-scale layout in the basement, a really large one, I thought. And then upstairs we had an HO layout, which is the one I spent most of my time on, because I'm an HO scale person. I like in-scale, but I don't really have a lot of it, so I've always just been HO, because it is what it is. But I thought it was always a good kind of like bang for your buck. You can get some better quality stuff in it. You can get a little bit more features, but you're not getting into O scale and all that. I know with O scale, my biggest pet peeve is I hate the third rail in the middle. I know you can get 2 scale, but then that just makes, or 2 rail, but that just makes it even more expensive. And I don't think I can be bothered with that.
Can they find their groove? Or will they keep on running like they've nothing left to prove? Penn Central, oh, Penn Central, can't keep it on the rail. Penn Central, oh, Penn Central, a comedy affair.
Because I wanted to get you all patched up from the incident earlier. You know, honestly, like, I get why people like the diesels as much as they do. I mean, they're pretty prevalent, and I mean, they're neat in their own right, but visually, to me, I think it's more interesting to watch the Steam, just because, I mean, even just the models themselves, they have a lot of intricate moving detail and parts to it that I think just makes it a little bit more fun. So, personally, I just enjoy running my Steam engines. That's all I have in my collection, barring that little Pico diesel and and I have a Doodlebug, a Pennsylvania Railroad Doodlebug. I love that little thing too. But that little thing, it's crappy, but it can pull one coach behind it, which is all I needed it to do, and it just pulls an RPO car. But I know 90% of the time what I was running was my Steam stuff. Because I love doing my mainline Steam. Like, where this game hits in the transition era, I like that era, because you get the nice diesels with the pretty well-refined steam locomotives. And then there's the Pennsylvania that was just especially during this area, they were kind of a sampler basket of everything. You could get electric, you could get diesel, you could get steam. I mean, you could get basically any of them that you wanted. Let me guess, there was a bunch of steam engines on the head end of the shortest little passenger train you ever saw. Dunk.
Rolling down the line, the cargo's flying high, Carolina sky. Oh, the world looks bright and night, swinging through the hills, the towns, the lanes, till suddenly, just suddenly, we spill our train. Whistles blowing loud, midnight setting in.
Oh, so you ended up probably with stupidly long excursions.
Boxcars off the track. Oh, what a scene. Laugh it off again. Folks, you know what I mean. Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern game. Midnight poker cruise.
So was your Model Railroad Club picky about, like, the wheels and coupler types that you used? Because I know with the club I was at, they did a program that they called GWC, which basically meant gauge, wheel, and couplers, and everybody had to have metal wheels and metal couplers. That was a requirement on that layout. Just because it eliminated most of the derailment issues that they had. But when they did that, it introduced a myriad of electrical faults in the layout, because it wasn't designed to have that many wheels contacting, like, through the switches and stuff like that. So they had to rework a lot of those old switches and isolate them in weird ways.
Midnight poker crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles. How long will it take? Around the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freights of jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line, saying what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derailing's just our way of keeping things light. Oops, we did it again. Derailing
Yoink.
Join the Norfolk Southern gang. Billy Kluber Crew.
Inevitably, one of these is going to have a hot box.
Cups of Joe.
I have yet to see that in one of these games. Or in this game, I should say.
A plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freights of jumbling barrels hit the dirt. Bosses on the line saying, what's the hurt? With a wink and grin, we pull back tight. Derailing's just our way of keeping things light.
Yes, that makes sense. An excursion. That had all the power it needed.
Trains roll down the line, hauling freight all the time. Norfolk Southern does it best. Heavy loads, no time to rest. Here they come around the bend. Cargo never seems to end.
I know when I was up at Altoona, I used to, or at least I still do when I'm in the area. I'll go up and I'll work at the museum as a volunteer. And when I was there, we were working on the, of course, the K4. And I spent a lot of time in the archive room getting documents and organizing that stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing when the K4 actually gets running, because they got the tender finished recently, like completely 100% done. And they have a mainline, a fairly modern mainline diesel that's got all the PTC in it. It's I'm calling it a sponsorship engine for the school there. So I'm looking forward to seeing that thing, because it seems like Norfolk Southern's going to play ball and actually let them run it on their main line through Altoona to tour the state. So I think the main reason that we had the strict coupler and wheel rules is because they've had incidents in the past with plastic wheels. A lot of the times they had really big flanges. That's one thing they also didn't allow. They didn't allow adapter cars to horn hooks or any other type of couplers. But they've had issues with... they had a lot of issues with the way the layout was done. It was made back when like brass and heavy model trains were kind of the norm. So they had a decent bit of tractive effort compared to some of the newer ones. But we had some goofy hills, some goofy corners, goofy hills, that kind of stuff. Like, it was not easy on some of those models. Like, I know I have a Bachmann Spectrum K4, and they're not known for their pulling power, but they can normally pull an 8-car train on a normal layout. This hills on this layout where it could barely pull itself up a hill if they didn't roll well. Like, if they were anything heavier than probably a handful of pennies is the best kind of metric I can give you. They just wouldn't do it unless you had traction tires. But they've had issues in the past of plastic couplers actually like fully breaking under the strain of the model. And they have it as a picture. Somebody had a really heavy coal train with a live load in it, and it ended up snapping on a corner, the real steep hill on a corner that leaves the main yard. And it ended up rolling back and flying into the yard in an accordion and spilling stuff all over the place just because they had a plastic coupler on it. And that wasn't the first time that had happened, but that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And then they generally just threw the wheel rule in there because on their switches, the plastic wheels were generally had too big of flanges, or they had too much material on them, so they would end up just popping off. It honestly saved a lot of derailments, because I caught the tail end of before they put that on, and I was mainly there when they had implemented the program, and a lot of people had done it. So I got to see the difference, and it is impressive the difference that the metal wheels and couplers, if everything's done to the same standard, will do. The derailments probably dropped off by about 40%. That sounds neat. I know they used to allow adapter cars or adapter couplers and stuff like that, but it all fell under that same reason. They wanted everybody to be on the same standard so you could actually shift and whatnot without having to do all that. And I know they hadn't done operations for a while on the HO layout, but they were bringing that back right as I had come home. So I'd say they're probably already doing that now.
Wheels are turning, tracks are burning, things you never thought you'd see. Penn Central's wild ride, ain't no learning, violations running wild and free. Signals blinking, not a single warning, rusty rails and broken ties. The Federal Railroad is reporting that the line.
Truth be told, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to shift these cars into where they need to be, and then I'll probably call it the evening tonight. I've been staying up a bit later than I really should be. I've got one more day of getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and then I got my 3-day weekend. So, can't beat that.
Engines humming out of key. Every minute, every hour, Penn Central's Looney Symphony.
Oh, so you had actual water
Cargo shift in a circus
in your locomotive?
rail. Fries whistling, list growing longer, set sail on this wild
Or in your tender, I should say.
the trains keep rolling, no one's in control. Penn Central's
So how much did that change the dynamics of the locomotive?
failing, schedule's falling through. It's a comedy, believe me, but it's true.
And did it never leak or cause any issues or anything like that?
Boxes stacking high, teetering towers, engines humming out of key. Every minute, every hour, Penn Central's Looney Symphony. Freight train splitting, cargo shifting, a circus on the rail. Fries whistling, list growing longer, set sail on this.
I know one of the people at my club, they had they were, I don't know how to say this without being mean, because they were a nice person, but they were kind of like a group of 3 people in the club that was very elitist about everything. Like, if you didn't have the top of the line, like Tangent or one of those other big companies that you end up spending like $90 for a hopper car or something stupid, they would be kind of like, well, you're not taking the hobby seriously. And I'm like, but A, I'm a college student, and B, at least I'm trying to take care of my stuff and I'm not running stupid things. But, it is what it is. But when I was there, they did have a cool thing. I mean, they helped out quite a bit, but he had this cool throttle. It was, I don't know if it was homemade or what it was, but he had like a legitimate control stand for his diesels. Like, it was modeled to fit in the palm of his hand, and it had the gauges, it had all that stuff actually functioning on it, and he could throw dynamic brakes, he could do all that, and it was programmed into it to be pretty realistic. And then on top of that, they went through the sound files, and Loc Sound 5, I think is what they did, and they sound matched everything. So like, as you would throw the dynamics, it would actually pick up on that, and it would get louder or quieter depending on how hard it was being used. And then they had almost every notch staged, as well as the in-betweens as it was throttling up. Like, it was crazy the amount of detail and sound and stuff they had in those. But they didn't run their stuff very often. They were kind of always sitting there working on it.
CSX always remain. All aboard the CSX train, through the sunshine, through the rain. Feel the rhythm, feel the beat. CSX can't be beat. Golden freights and silver steels, every station, every deal. On these tracks of iron pride, CSX the rays remain.
Huh. Honestly, that's pretty neat. I've never heard of anybody doing that before.
Down the country line, Bob's on that engine, leaving troubles far behind. His house is a circus with a wife big as a barn, but on the railroad tracks he's a
I know there are companies that do it, but I'm just waiting for some company to figure out how to make like a little live steam DCC locomotive.
burn. It's bound to break. But Bob's
I'm waiting for it, rather than it be like pure remote control.
out away from misery. Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No holler, kids
I got $53 to drop that off. Look at me, I'm making money.
sweet. It's a symphony divine, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind. Got a ham sandwich and a thermos full of Joe, waving to the townsfolk, taking it nice and slow. The countryside's his playground, sun and open skies, feeling like a king when it's just in low tide.
I will say though, I do miss running my my model trains. They live in my office at work now because there's not really a layout near me or a club near me that I can go to. It's not outside of a hour and a half drive.
Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering, kids of Jenny hanging on the phone. Engines humming sweet, it's a symphony divine, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind. Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering, kids of Jenny hanging on the phone. Engines hum sweet, it's a symphony divine, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind. Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering, kids of Jenny hanging on the phone. Engines hum sweet, it's a symphony divine, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
So was it like a plastic bodied model, or was it like a brass or like a metal hybrid kind of thing, or?
Countryside's his playground, sun and open sky, feeling like a king when it's just him. Evening's gonna come, he'll head back to the gloom, to the desperate call, while the sun is high, the tracks has gotten like railroad
Oh, so that's neat.
on this runaway flight. Hallelujah, on the tracks he's riding all alone. No hollering, kids of Jenny hanging on the phone.
So it was definitely one of those
Symphony divine,
really, like I don't,
from his troubles.
like it's probably up there in age. I mean, I know you said it was old, but I'd say for it to have a metal body, it's probably like up there. I assume it was DC, converted to DCC.
It's a symphony divine, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind. Well, running away from his troubles, leaving them behind.
Conrails come to town, taking Penn Central's crown. Tracks were sold down and out. Now everyone will
I will say some of those older models, they are so well built, and you can do a lot to them. Like I've seen people take like some of those old Tycos, like I don't even know what they're supposed to really be a model of, but I've seen people take some of their old steamers, and they've put a lot of effort into them, and there's a decent aftermarket support for them. So I've seen people actually go and do I have like I do have a brake on. But I've seen people go and do some crazy stuff to them. And they turn out, honestly, stupidly well. Like, they turn out really, really well with people who know what they're doing.
Freight cars in a line, running smooth, looking fine. Signals on
That's always nice when you have the space to fit stuff that was never intended to go in there. Like, I have a couple models that I would love to convert to DCC, but there's really no point in it because it's going to have a bunch of ugly wires and stuff coming out of the tender to go into it because there's just no room for anything. I mean, it's just heavyweight and hollow tender. And by hollow, I mean it's mostly hollow because you still have to have the weight in the tender for it.
oh no, rails here to show will never be low. Oh no, old rails have their fun, but they're all said and done. New track shine in the sun, watch the engines run. Oh, never be low on this happy rail show. Three cars in a line, oh no. Old rails had their fun, but they're all said and done. New track shine in the sun, watch the engines run. Oh no. Rails had their fun, but they're all said and done. New track shine in the sun, watch the engines run. Freight cars in a line.
See, that is attention to detail that is honestly under, like, they need to think about that. Like, I mean, there's a lot of engines, like, especially mainline steam and stuff that they do, that they just put the wire connection between it, but in all actuality, they would have had a auger to feed them, and they don't put that auger on there. And I'm like, you could put that on there and then just make it essentially not make it the drawbar, but you can make it hide your wires and stuff through them. So I like that they did that. Or make the wires look like the hoses. Well, I picked a weird way of doing this, but
Well, I
stop,
parked my
stop train.
right by the tracks, thought I put down roots, ain't no looking back. But that old
So do you think it was like a kit at one point, or do you think it was just a normal model that was just like mass produced? Well, mass produced, I say in quotations. Because if it was a kit, it seems like the person who put it together knew what they were doing initially.
she nagged and she prattled, never gave the peace, with a face that could scare a new breed of geese. While I sat on the porch drinking my beer, that whistle blew louder and I started to cheer. Oh, the train took my troubles away, sent her packing with that rumbling sway. Ugly wife was screaming, but hey, that's fine, 'cause that big old train crossed that thin old line. Down the countryside, quiet, peaceful night. No more yelling, no more
And I'm gonna assume that this is in like an HO scale, or is this in a larger scale?
the stars up high. Thank the Lord for that railroad line.
I mean, that's impressive that they were able to snake the wires through that kind of stuff in that small of a scale. Because, I mean, it's either it's going to be insanely large or insanely small wire. But the fact that they were able to hide it is pretty neat. And then make it look decently realistic. Like, one of the things I changed on my K4, my Bachmann K4, is they did this weird, like, drawbar that had, like, a double, I'm going to say a double Y on it with two little pegs. And in order to take the thing apart to put it in its box, you had to disassemble the whole locomotive and the whole engine, or the whole engine and the whole tender, just to, you know, get the thing separated without feeling like you're going to break it. So I said to heck with it, and I 3D printed a new drawbar for it, and I hid the wires and did all kinds of neat trickery to hide that kind of stuff because it bothered me. And it also helps protect those connections a little bit better. I did that, and I decided to just customize the box for it because I hate when they make you take stuff together and put it apart a lot. That's neat.
Peaceful tonight.
That sounds like a really intricately done model. Oh, well, hang on. I made a mistake. Come here. Yeah, honestly, I like the sound of that just because I've had issues with my Broadway Limited model. On that layout they had, where it was kind of goofy, I've actually had it before where because it was just a snap-on drawbar, so it, like, just pressure clipped on there, I should say. Oh, shoot. Well, I messed that up. Dunk. But no, I've had issues where it's actually decoupled and it was just pulling on that plug super hard. So it's nice to see that somebody, when they designed it, thought about, well, what if this happens? And then it doesn't just ruin the whole thing, or strip or break plugs or whatnot. Haha, got it. Well, it sounds like you got a pretty good model. Because, I mean, I know a lot of times, like, upgrading, especially old stuff, is just generally a pain. At least from my experience, it is. I used to, in my free time, I would go and modify, or not modify, I'd go to the train shows and buy models people said were broken, in quote, and I would end up working on them. What's going on? Oh. I'd end up working on them and repairing them to, be reliably working, and, because 90% of the time people say stuff is broken and it just needs a good clean. Or it just needs a little bit of TLC done to it.
Trains are breaking free, and Central's got woes aplenty. Not the way to be. Caboose is always trailing, engines out of steam. Schedules barely matter, like some crazy dream. And
Dunk.
Penn Central can't keep it on the rail. Penn Central, Penn Central.
Hopefully these can make it up this little grade. There's just something nice about having the simplicity in models like that. Just it's nice when you don't have to treat it like a new car, and to change one little thing, you have to take off 50 million little teeny finicky pieces.
Find their groove, or will they keep on running like they've nothing left to prove? Penn Central, oh Penn Central, can't keep it on the rail. Penn Central, oh Penn Central, a comedy affair.
And the play. Will be nice. I'll open the door to the empty boxcar. So, when you change stuff on your map, it just stops the factories from doing anything. Or the industries, I should say.
Got my ticket in my hand, gonna ride across the land. Feel the rhythm, feel the track. Party on, we won't look back. Engineer, he's on the groove. Train is smooth, it's got the
That's strange. I wonder why they... I wonder if it's they have it set up to that, or if it just does that on its own. Just because it breaks something in its code.
all night long. Dance and sing our happy song. Rails are rocking, hearts aflame. Every station screams our name. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Cafe car is hopping loud.
Honestly, if you do that with that model, that would be probably one of the most realistic models that anybody would have in terms of just, you know, authentic steam. Because, you know, it's... I wish they would make it water-based, the water vapor, or the vapor that comes out of it, just because it would be nice to not get that oil residue all over everything and ruin the shine of models or damage paint or ruin your track. And it'd be cheaper. You can just go, whoop, put some water in, you're good to go.
Cafe car is hopping loud. Join the fun, we're one big crowd. Every mile just brings a thrill.
Other than the fact that somebody got in my video, I enjoyed this. This was fun when I got this video up in Gallitzin. Well, hopefully you find an easy fix around everything breaking. That makes sense, to have the motor away from everything. Because obviously you don't want water on it. If I was doing it, wouldn't it be also probably an idea to try to fit like a little tray or something underneath it, so if it does leak, it doesn't leak all over the actual like track, so it wouldn't potentially tear up motor, like switch motors, or mess with anybody's electrical equipment.
Cross the country hand in hand. Rails of passion, tunes that play. Amtrak speed is here to stay.
Okay. So you're basically wanting to put like a mister, in a way, in the funnel. That makes sense. Okay. That... Honestly, I'd be interested to hear how that turns out. That sounds like it'd be a project. And honestly, it'd be nice to see something other than the smoke fluid being used.
Folks got the crown, ain't no way to spin. Boxcars off the track, oh what a scene. you know what I mean. Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to
But
fame. Wheels off the rails,
let's
we never
see.
fail. Join the Norfolk Southern gang.
Save that.
Midnight
So-
Polka crew sees the headlines break.
I do hate to, but I've been going for about 3 hours now, and I'm a little bit tired after being up since 4:30 this morning. So I am probably going to go ahead and head off of here. So I will talk to everyone on Friday. I will be streaming a little bit longer Friday because that is my day off. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm probably just going to raid out, and you can stay with the other people if you want, and if not, that's fine. I'm just doing it to be polite. Let me see here. Who is on?
Midnight Polka crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles. How long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freight's a jumbling, barrels hit the dirt. Boss is on the line, saying
shoot.
what's the hurt? With a wink and grin,
Turn
we
just
pull
that up
back
just a little
tight.
bit, so it's not
Derailing's just our
perfectly
way of
silent
keeping
the
things
entire
light.
time.
Oops, we did it again. Derailing straight to fame. Wheels off the rails, we never fail. Join the Norfolk Southern gang.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Minnie Kluber crew sees the headlines break. Cups of Joe and chuckles. How long will it take? Round the smoky room, a plan is hatched a while. Another day, another wreck, completed with a smile. The freight's a jumbling, barrels hit the dirt. Boss is on the